Today I'll be talking about Char from the Mobile Suit Gundam series and diagnosing him with diseases found within the DSM-5. Let's give a little bit of context to Gundam and the UC timeline. The Universal Century starts off with humans moving out into space and building space colonies known as sides. After a couple of decades living out in space, a new theory of evolution would be proposed, named the New Type Theory, where humans develop better spatial awareness and minor telepathic abilities due to them living out in space. This new theory would prompt an independence movement by the Spacenoids, as they see themselves as different from Earthlings. And this starts the Principality of Zeon. Zeon would start a war with Earth known as the 1-Year War for their independence. 3 more wars would follow after this, known as the Neo-Zeon Wars. The most important of these two is the second Neo-Zeon War, led by Char, who would attempt to destroy Earth with asteroids, and the second, which was led by his dissociative of identity, Full Frontal, who would try to destroy the economy of Earth. Now that the main drama of UC has been established, let's move on to the character we'll be focused on today, Char. Born with Castle Rem Daikun, Char is a new type and ace pilot for numerous military forces. Char is marked by his high charisma and warrior's pride. He will go to any lengths to achieve his goals, such as destroying the entire Zabi family, who had assassinated his father and instigated the 1-Year War. Char is also somewhat of a loner, having very few relationships that don't end in betrayal, many of them being a back and forth from loving the person to hating him, such as his rival and best friend Amuro Ray. And all the relationships he's had with women outside of his sister have all been romantic, and many of them, except for one, have been with underage women, such as Lala, who he picked up at 13 from a brothel, and was his first major romantic relationship, and has been his only one to reach such a high level of romance. Despite constantly going to war with Earth and showing hatred towards them, he actually has a love for humanity and Earth itself. He sees his humanity being bound by Earth and not being able to reach their full potential on it. He also sees Earth as a beautiful thing and wants humans to stop populating it and polluting it and move on, seeing them leaving Earth as a win-win for everyone. He is also marked by his iconic mask, and in every series except for Char's counterattack, he is seen wearing some kind of face cover, whether it be sunglasses or a mask. His face is very rarely ever shown. Full Frontal is a separate identity from Char. Even though Char has had several different identities throughout the series, such as Casfall, Quattro, and Edward, this one stands out as its own personality, separate from Char. Full Frontal is a product of a near-death experience during the events of Char's counterattack, where his system overloaded and nearly killed Char, but did cause amnesia, creating a new personality within him. Even though Full Frontal himself does not see himself as Char, many do, and there are some instances where it's said outright that he is the remains of Char. One of the ways that Full Frontal differs from Char is that he has no close relationships to anyone. While Char did have a few, they were very close and very passionate relationships. Here, Full Frontal seems to avoid relationships. Even though his second command has a strange fixation with him, he outright chooses to avoid having any kind of relationship to him and merely uses his second command as a tool. Which also comes to the next thing, is manipulative and uncaring. While Char could be manipulative, it was not marked in his personality. He just would sometimes use it to achieve his goals, was not a manipulative person himself. Here, Full Frontal is shown to constantly use people as tools. Full Frontal is also shown to be uncaring, as seen by his manipulative personality, as he sees many people only as tools for his goal. He doesn't actually care about it, even using his own men as sacrifices, which was the complete opposite of how Char treated his own men. He also seems to take great pleasure in battle, much like Char. However, this is taken a step further out, as though he seems to take joy in killing people rather than just battle. Char could end a battle without killing someone, even though he very rarely did. Full Frontal, though, would rather kill someone than let them live in battle. So with the character explained, let's move on to mental illnesses. Throughout the series, Char has shown many different mental illnesses, with a comorbidity of 3. The major one being dissociative amnesia, which was, as we can see with Full Frontal, being a totally separate personality caused by amnesia. The next is pedophilic disorder, which we can see with the majority of Char's relationships being romantic and with young women. Even though some of them could be conceived as manipulative, he always did show a large amount of romance in each one. He has also shown oppositional defiant disorder, which can be seen very early on. Right after his father's assassination, he was told to run and hide in order to escape an assassination attempt on him. Instead, he would take his sister into a tank and go on a rampage throughout his town. He would continue to show it by outright defying his name of Edward, seeing it as a disgusting name for him, and rather taking on his birth name of Casfall, and even joining the Xeon forces at the defiance of his father. It seems more of a vindictive type of defiance. He does also show signs of borderline personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. However, there are only just a couple of signs, but not enough to properly diagnose Char, as he does seem to flip back and forth on relationships and take pleasure in killing people. There is not enough to go on to properly diagnose him. So what could have brought on these illnesses? One major one could be traumatic childhood events, such as the assassination of his father and constant assassination attempts on him. This also caused constant displacement for Char, as he's moved through several different homes throughout his childhood, along with having an absent mother who was kept separate from him to keep them both safe. Another thing which doesn't seem to be too strong, but could still be a possibility, is the fact that he's taken place in every major war since he joined the Xeon forces. What could also be happening is that he's a new type, which could cause greater stress from emotions, as it's an emotional evolution of humans. There's also the ideas of the death of friends and close family, such as his mother and Amuro Ray, who is one of his best friends, causing issues,